welcome everybody. My name is Jan-Willem Westerlink. I'm from the Future City Foundation. And before we start, I would like to give the floor to Lotte Nijland. She's from the Ministry of the Interior in the Netherlands. And because this is a program we do together with the Ministry, I would like to give her the opportunity to welcome us all. Lotte, it's up to you.
Thank you, Jan-Willem. Welcome to everybody for joining us again in this afternoon get-together about smart water management in urban areas. Together with Future City Foundation and a couple of councils and communities in the Netherlands, we're looking to improve the way that we sustain our urban living. And in working together with government, private parties, and organizations, we like to connect and make tools so that we can really improve the way that we use technology in urban areas. So welcome everybody. Keep your ears open for concrete tools that really get your attention. And we would like to speak about implementing them further.
Okay, thank you so much, Lotte. Then I will take over and I will share some slides with you, and then we go to our main speaker, which is Anton Jacobson. He's from Sweden, and he will tell us more about the SCOREwater project in which you are interested. Find my screen. Do you all see it? It's okay, yeah. So welcome on behalf of the Future City Foundation. Before we go on, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself in the chat box so everybody can see who you are, and you can do it. It's not obliged, and everybody can see who you are and get in contact with you. And I would like to ask you, if you're new or if you're already in it, to mute yourself so we don't hear your background. There's a button on your app in which you can do it. So my name is Jan-Willem Westerlink. I'm from the Future City Foundation, and Future City Foundation, and this is the program for today. So we have already had a welcome by Lotte. I'm doing mine now, and then we get a lecture by Anton. Then there is a Q&A. So I will see how you can do that, and then we can all raise our glass and. So there are some rules using WebEx. I already mentioned the mute one, but also I told you a little bit about the possibility to ask questions. You can use the chat box for that as well. Please address then your chat to everyone so we can see it and we can talk about it later. But if you want to chat with somebody in private because you see an old friend or a new opportunity, you can also chat via a private chat. Okay, and the last rule is please don't talk when other people talk because then it gets pretty messy. Everything can go wrong in life, but we have 3 points to mention, and that's if you don't hear anything, please click on join with computer audio. If you want to see more than one participant, you can. There is a possibility to see more people at once in the app version. And if other people don't hear or see you, you have to turn on the mic or the camera. So what is the Future City Foundation? We are a movement of communities in which we think about topics on smart cities. We are part of the Fireware community, which is SCOREwater also a project of. And these are our partners at the moment, and we are getting a lot more because of the city deal we're doing with the ministry. What we're doing is partner science, so we bring, and in that we bring together public and private opinions, and we bridge the gap between the smart and city part of the the word smart city. And that leads to awareness, processes, and projects, which of SCOREwater is one. And last year we thought about this question: how are cities, villages, and regions changing? And we investigated that with 26 partners, which you see on this slide, and it led to a book. You see the Dutch version in front, but there's also an English version, and you can download that on our website. And there were 4 designing principles which came out of that book, and that is that we want a sustainable and democratic city, and in which we design everything as a democratic smart network. We design flexibility, and we design meaningfulness. And the big question with it is how do we arrange that? How do we get there? And that's a question of public administration, of politics, of urban planning, and of technique. And in this year, we have 4 movement of communities, one on politics and public administration, one on our city deal, one on biodiversity, and the fourth one is about SCOREwater. But this should be down because I made a new slide. And in that new slide, you can see what we do in the city deal. And in the city deal, we want to make translate the 4 designing principles into tools. We want to collect, develop, test, and implement those tools. We do that with 30 more partners already, and if you want to join, it's still possible. It's a program from around 3 years, which is supported by the ministry as well as the G40 city network. And what you get is network opportunities, knowledge development, and media attention. And if you want to know more about this program, you can scan this QR code, and then you get at the website. You can turn easily into any language you want. So, wait, that's my presentation. My introduction. Time to switch over to Anton. If you want to know more about what we do as the Future City Foundation, or if you want to connect with me, so we can discuss about the topics I told you briefly about, you can scan this QR code, and then you get to my LinkedIn, and we'll be friends forever. And if you want to be friends with Anton, you have to scan this QR code, and then you get to his presentation. And that's also the little bridge we made, we built in this presentation to Anton. And Anton, you can unmute yourself and take over. So I will stop sharing my presentation, and you can start sharing your ones, and introduce us to the wonderful world of SCOREwater.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it sounds like Eurovision, especially with somebody from Sweden.
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Anton Jacobson, working for IVL, Swedish Environmental Research Institute in Göteborg, Sweden. I've been asked to hold this short presentation about the SCOREwater project, and especially the case study that we have here in Gothenburg, Göteborg. So that's what I'm planning to do. The SCOREwater project is an EU-financed project in their work for digital water. It's a project within the ICT for Water cluster, and it was in the call that SCOREwater is part of. There are 4 different projects which are all working with related or similar topics as SCOREwater. The project is relatively big, 5.8 million euros over 4 years. and we are 14 partners in Europe in this project, in Sweden, the Netherlands, and in Spain. So the background to the project. During the last years, there have been more focus on managing water in our cities. There are many reasons for that, but for example, the urbanization, more people living in the same areas, cities get more dense, but also climate change with heavier rainfalls and so on. And due to these facts and other causes, the water systems in these causes are pushing already stressed systems when it comes to the water cycles in our cities. So this is why this is interesting from EU point of view. Yes, the project is focusing on resilience in city water cycles with the help of digitalization. The projects are focusing on 3 different water areas, which are represented by 3 different case studies. The project also focusing on developing a digital platform for water management services, which I will talk a bit about later. This is an innovation project which will be developed during the process. The goal is to start with the pilot testing quite early in the project, to have time for an iterative process to end up with a well-developed solution in the end. So we have time to adapt to the needs from different stakeholders and interests organizations during the time. Short about the 3 different cases. We have in Netherlands the Amersfoort case. I guess that there are people in this call that knows this project, this case study better than me, but the main focus have been to look at flooding in Amersfoort and also hydrologic modeling to investigate and evaluate different solutions in specific sensitive areas. In Spain, we have the Barcelona case. I saw some representative from that case as well here in the meeting. In Barcelona, the focus is on sewer and wastewater. And the city sometimes struggles with bad smell in the city due to clogging in the wastewater system. One of the reasons for this can be that wet wipes and diapers ends up in the sewer system. So one thing that this case study is working on is predictive clogging in the wastewater system, but also in educating citizens in water-friendly behavior. And we also have the Göteborg case in Sweden, which I'm mainly part of. The main focus is to look at pollution in stormwater systems, especially from construction work, and how this influenced the system, which I will talk a bit more about. I also mentioned a digital platform for water management services. This is really detailed pictures over the architecture of the platform. You do not need to read it or understand it, but just to give a picture of the level of abstractness of this platform. When it comes to these digital strategies, there are some recommendations from the European Union to preferably keep it open sourced and have the possibility to share data and ensure interoperability. Interoperability on different levels, such as it should be easy to connect your sensor and send data from sensors, different sensors, into the platform. So it should be easy to connect there. But also on another level where we have the APIs, and that end users and app developers should be able to access the data in a fairly easy way. So have well specified APIs and easy to connect to the platform. to build a platform like this system that's easy to connect, it's really good to, especially for avoiding locking effects, which is something that you are interested in. So a bit more about the Göteborg case study. Why is the stormwater system of importance, and why do we want to do something like this? Today the knowledge about the water in the city are limited, and there's not too much monitoring of stormwater quality in the city. There are some manual tests taken in recipient water and so on, but not more monitored than that. But there are recommendations for specific parts of this water, but the knowledge about what actually happens in the water are limited, so we're not totally sure that all the recommendations are followed. So this is something that we hopefully will be able to help with in the SCOREwater project and this case study. So the aim and focus in the case study is to contribute to less pollutant water from construction work. And this will be achieved by monitoring certain parameters related to water quality and flow. We will install sensors both at the construction site, but also in the stormwater grid. The sensors and the monitorization will be done online in real time and via wireless connections transfer the data to the platform. Right now, there are huge infrastructure projects in the city of Gothenburg, Göteborg, called the West Link. You can see on this map central parts of the city, and the gray line here is where the tunnels should go. It should go below more or less the central parts of Göteborg. The project started in 2018 and is planned to take 9 years. This project influenced the whole city centers and have been a hot topic in the city already for many years. So what we started to do was identify the waters that's close by and that's directly influenced by this project. And for the case study, we have chosen to focus on the stage close to the central station. You might see the train tracks here in this picture and the area about the central station. This area is located near Göta River, which is the biggest river in Gothenburg. So now we have zoomed into that area a bit more. You can see the central station in the lower part of the picture with the train tracks and so on. You can also see a green grid, which is a geese layer of the stormwater system in this area. The construction site will more or less cover main parts of this picture. It's a big stage there close to Central Station. On this construction site, there are many open shafts where water are gathered, both during precipitation, but also water coming from the ground. This water gets dirty by the soil and the activities on the construction site. People are walking and vehicles are driving and so on. There might be also risk for pollution by specific activities on the construction site. The goal is, or the water are released into the stormwater system and then travels down to the recipient. But before the water are released into the grid, the stormwater system, it's cleaned on site. So there are one of our partners, Swedish Hydro Solutions, have small treatment plants on the construction area, which are cleaning the water before it's released to the stormwater system. if we zoom in even further in this part here and have a more detailed picture over the grid, the plan is to install sensors in the stormwater system close to the construction site. These sensors will be installed in different positions and different relations to each other to get a wider picture of the water going in the pipes. For example, it would be good to have sensors located close to where the water are released, but also upstream and downstream from there. So this is just a small example of what it can look like, where the arrows mark where we have installed sensors. And just a small animation of the water flowing through the pipes down to the recipient, Göta River. When the water are going through the pipes down to the recipient, the sensors will monitor the water and transfer the data to the platform, where also there will be AI algorithms monitoring the quality to help us with this, to see if there are interesting scenarios or stuff happening compared with the models that we have developed in the project. There are many possible use for a system like this. One thing that we have started to look at now in the beginning is to develop an early warning system for pollution levels. So the algorithms are planned to be trained to recognize abnormal behavior in the water and give early warnings when some parameters that's monitored behave differently or odd. So to exemplify this a bit, if we have some kind of contamination or pollution in this area here, maybe it's a cleaning facility that fails or some other source that causes this pollution. The water there can get polluted. I marked this with a brown color here. And the sensors that's installed to the way down to the recipients will react and can send alarms based on this. To have sensors installed in series like this can help in decreasing the number of false alarms because we can increase the redundancy in the system to have more sensors reacting to the same water. This would help the city of Gothenburg to faster find if there are if there are pollution or increasing pollutions, but also to help be able to find the area where the pollution occurs, to faster find the source and to do something about it. In this example, the pollution was over here somewhere. The sensors reacted, and we can understand that this is the area where the problem occurs. And the same if there were another source, other sensors will react and to be able to locate where it actually happens. So this was one of the services that we're looking at. We're also discussing a bit if it's possible to help optimizing the cleaning of the pipes by looking at sensor data in flow or water levels. We would be able to hopefully to see if the relations between different sensors changes, to see if there are sediments in the pipes, and with that information help them optimize the operation personnel's work in keeping the stormwater grid in good conditions. There are, as I said, many possible services for a system like this, and also this is a part of the iterative process in the project. We're right now in discussion with both our partners, but also stakeholders and possible end users to identify more possible applications for a system like this. Yes, that's basically what I've said in this 15 minutes. As I said, there are 14 partners which are presented here in the SCOREwater project, 3 different countries. Yeah, that's basically it, I guess.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank you for
Anton.
listening.
Dankjewel. Thank you so much for your presentation. And there are some questions. But before we go there, it's a little tradition that we raise the glass and to say, hey, cheers, everybody. So maybe you can stop sharing your
Sure.
screen so we can see each other. And I hope you also have something to drink down there in Sweden.
I just got my water bottle here. Sorry for that.
Yeah, water is fine in these days. So cheers, everybody. And let's go on to the questions. And if you have more questions to Anton or other questions, whatever you want, please write them down in the chat because I'm going to read the chat now. And I think it starts with a question from Hans Dekker. Oh, no, that's a remark who he is. Yeah, also a question from Hans Dekker. Is there a link with the Blue Health project? Do you know that project, Anton?
No, not too well. I know that there are collaborations between the sister projects in the coal and also all the projects within the ICT for water cluster. But I don't know about that project in particular.
Hans, why are you asking this specific question?
Well, there are. It seems to me that there are in every aspect, let's say, which relates to, for example, climate change. There are 2 aspects, like we call this the utopian aspect and the dystopian aspect. Yes, there are negatives and there are positives. And the Blue Health Project tries to define positive values on water and water management. And one of the basic ideas is that if you can define those and define the values of water in the city, this would also be, let's say, anticipating on the draagvlak, how you call that? Draagvlak?
Dat weet ik niet, Hans.
The carrier flag.
Ja, carrier flag is prima.
You know, how people, let's say, would accept new water in the cities. Yes, in order to manage to do this water management measures again. So there are, you see, so if you can show, this is valuable ecologically, recreational.
Hans, before you do the whole presentation of the project,
okay, sorry.
Put it to a question.
Is it? Yeah. So that's so my question is there a link? Is that so because you are looking at the more technical stuff, water management, and the other stuff? Well, I already talked about.
Anton.
Yeah, I guess that would be a possible link there. Maybe I need to read more about it to really understand. Yeah, probably there might be things to do there.
Hans, can you put a tuurlijk Lot.
Yeah, what I would like to say is that in the city deal, this is exactly the type of question that we would love to answer with you together about how we can build a program based on values, but on technology as well for an intelligent way to make sustainable urban solutions.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the type of conversation and discussion we would love to have.
Okay, so I can give some information from the city deal, green and blue, where I was participating in.
Yeah, and Hans, please share it in the chat box.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
thank you. If you can both mute yourself again, then I go on to the
Yes,
other
that's good.
question. It's a remark from Wilco that they are currently taking part in a EU Interreg project, STAR to CS, to climate adaptation. Interesting to click on that link, I guess. Then Margaret asked us, what do you mean by water from the ground? You said water from the ground. What do you mean by that, Anton?
Maybe that was not too clever to say that, but yeah, yes, that was the people working with cleaning water, that there were water sipping up from the ground during when they're digging and so on, which is also occurring in this. Which is our water that they need to clean before it's released into the stormwater system. I don't have all the details regarding the construction work and how it works.
Is that a clear answer to you, Margaret? You can't find.
Yeah. Hallo. Ja, helder. Dank je. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. A user 3133 asks us what kind of sensors you use.
So what we have decided on in the project is to work to measure turbidity, conductivity, pH, temperature, and flow or water level. So right now we are there are some sensors installed at the construction site by the Swedish Hydro Solutions, but that's cleaning the water. So they have a probe, a multi-sensor probe, which measuring all these parameters. But they are not going to be installed in the stormwater system. So right now we're looking at, we at IVL are developing a turbidity and water level sensor, which are currently tested, which work with laser and camera and image processing to define turbidity and water level. And also we're working to find, we have a couple of alternatives for the conductivity and pH sensor right now. So we don't know which one of them, but that's the parameters that's going to be monitored.
Okay. Another question is if the analysis of the contamination in soil water, if that is based on dissolved material or also on non-dissolved material.
Yeah, I would say since it's turbidity that we're measuring, I guess that also covers some of the non-dissolved materials, I guess. I might need to read a bit about that just to ensure to give you the correct answer there.
Okay, so the question is asked by somebody with the poetic name HBBCD. So Mr. HB or Mrs. H, and that's you, right? Is that why are asking this question?
Hi, I'm Willem.
Hey,
This is,
hi.
Hi. Well, the question is based on the following. I think of all these sensors I've heard, the majority is based on actually detecting dissolved material in soil water. And that could lead to certain assumptions, because if you have all rotten metal already laying down in the ground for decades, that could provide still dissolved material into the soil water. So how can you distinguish between existing contamination with actually relatively new contamination sources based on all this construction work going on? So, and turbidity, yeah, that is a rough analysis, but it's not really a quantified measure to perform sophisticated analysis. So that is the reason why I was asking this question, to distinguish existing contamination sources with new contamination sources?
And I guess, as you said, turbidity might be more of an indicator when it comes to this measurement. And what we have said is there's a lot of things that can be measured, and a lot of people interested in specific materials in the water and so on. And what we have said is to use multivariate analysis of these parameters that we have will give indication of changes, and to see how stuff changes over time and see if something behaves differently, and it usually do. So we'll not have all the measures and get all the results online, but we will get faster indications that something is happening, and with help of that, if needed, take more tests to analyze further and send to lab and so on to get all the.
Like an early warning system.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you also for the question. There's another question from Melle, and he asks if you have enough historical data to train your AI model.
That's a tricky question. We have, of course, that's always an issue when you work with AI, and there's a possible limitation there. We have one part of the project which is not directly linked to the case study is a test bed. It's not a physical test bed, but it's a team that's working on gathering as much data as possible in similar scenarios, and data from the sensors that's used and so on. So based on that data and the time period that we're planning to measure this and develop the system, hopefully we'll have enough data to do good analysis here. But of course, that's always a difficulty when you work with AI.
So when do you think you have enough data? What's the time frame such a project?
So the time frame for the project is 4 years. Started 1 year ago, and as I said, iterative process. We will start to gather as much real data from the sensors installed as soon as possible. According to the delivery plan, the sensor should be installed after the summer, and the plan is to install some first sensors in the near future to start gathering data and see, and so on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, as I said, gather as much data from these sensors or similar setups with sensors to just start to work with algorithms as much as possible.
Yeah, so it's step by step.
Yeah, it is.
Another question from Maria Jose. What does the City Council of Göteborg or the Water Authority require to monitor? What is the environmental objective? Shoot.
Yeah, so I think that they have a long list of things that they are measuring in specific positions at positions times. And I guess that this system is not planned to replace the measurements that they are doing at the moment. More of like I said, early warning and a help to identify when specific things are happening, non-wanted events, and find these faster. So we'll not replace the tests that are taken today.
Okay. I see that Maria Jose likes the answer. Another question: will there be a cascade funding available for uptake of the pilots? How is the funding of project organized?
Yeah, so basically we have a work package for that as well, working with upscaling and downscaling and the business part of this, how to make something that's can be sold or worked, expanded to more cities and to expand it. So the plan is to I don't know too much about that work package, but yeah, they are working on that as well in parallel to try to do
Okay.
this.
Thank you so much. We reached a little more. So Hans also told us something more about his project, and then we are at the end of the questions. I've one question left, and that is we are now in strange times because of the Corona crisis or the COVID-19 crisis. Is there you are doing a lot about censoring and analysis of data. Is there a connection between what's going on in the world, or will there be a connection about what's going on in the world and your project?
Too early to say anything about that, I would say. We don't see any correlations since this projects have been planned for many years. We don't see any direct correlations with the project or the case study in Gothenburg. European Union have asked the projects, us and the sister projects, if there are something that we can focus on and then include in this. But at the moment, I don't know what the answer from our bosses are telling them or how the discussion is going there. But there have been questions from the European Union regarding this, but nothing at the moment.
So it's more, it is a topic which you don't know what your answer can be.
Exactly.
Yeah, but because the other project in Barcelona, for example, is about about sewage water. Can there be a connection, or is that too early to say?
Yeah, it might be, but I would say I can't tell you anything about that at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just wondering.
Yeah, I understand. It's also a hot topic right now.
Yeah. Very much. Okay. When there are no further questions left, I would like to thank you again very much for this interesting presentation. So now we know a lot more about the project, and yeah, to everybody, thank you for joining this get together again. Next week we do a lot more get-togethers. We have one on Wednesday, which is in Dutch about democracy. So how can you implement democratic values in your decision making about smart cities? And there is one in English at Thursday again, but then in the morning, because then we have Young-Sung Wang, who is the masterpreneur of the South Korean city of Busan, one of the smart cities over there. And that's that early because of the time difference. And so you can join us then for a morning coffee. Thank you again, and hope to see you. Bye bye.